Three is a magic number. Yes, it is. It's a magic number. Somewhere in the ancient mystic trinity. Welcome to $3 Parlay. My name is Graham Morris. I'm here with my co-host, Michael Serio.
How we doing, everybody?
And we want to welcome you guys to the first episode of our new show, $3 Parlay. We think you'll figure out a little bit later why we call it $3 Parlay, but really our job here is to help you make enough money to buy a couple beers for the weekend on really stupid, cheap $1, $2 bets. We're not trying to be millionaires here. We're just trying to make it to the weekend. Isn't that right, Michael?
Yeah, that's it. Take a few bucks, put them on a few games, turn it into a few more bucks. It's as easy as that.
We say that, but I think our statistics might show differently. I think we both got to this point as FSU fans needing another way to maybe watch and be entertained by football this year with the product on the field that we've had to go through. So this is how we're coping. We're talking about betting cookies here, not actual money. So let's just make sure we keep that in mind. But yeah, so let's get into it. Just to introduce the podcast itself, we plan on doing this once a week, and we've laid it out into a couple different segments. But I think it's probably easier to just jump right into it. So we've already done 2 weeks worth of betting in this format, and here you can see the actual results that we have. So as you can see today, Michael is ahead by just a couple dollars.
Commanding lead. That's right.
Just look at that right there. We plan to do this just for college football and the NFL up until we get to about March Madness and baseball season, where we'll start throwing those into the mix. So we've got a couple of weeks. We'll go through our results that we had from last week. We'll talk about our picks for this week, and we can jump right into it. I guess, Michael, do you want to go ahead and explain how pick 5 works, since that'll be the first thing we do?
Yeah, so the majority of our show is on a pick 5. That's where Graham and I will go back and forth in a snake style draft, picking games and lines that we like. It'll be alternating, and once that game has been chosen, it's completely off limits. So let's say Graham takes an over-under on a game, I can no longer touch the spread or the opposite of the over-under. And now I have to make another choice. So eventually we'll get to a point where I have 5 games with bets that I've made. He has 5 different games with 5 bets that he makes. And then we'll assign quantity adding up to $10 divided between those 5 games. Lots of fun, and I think last week I did really well. So Graham's going to go first this week, and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, so my bets for last week, as you can see right here, I took Buffalo at Dallas. I took Buffalo to cover the 7-point spread. To me, I felt like that was a really easy pick. It's why I assigned a 3-cookie wager to it with an odds of 118. And I came out ahead on that one, so I was really proud of that one. I just looked at it and basically said Dallas is a terrible team, and they haven't beaten anybody with a winning record, and Buffalo's got a really damn good defense. So I took them there. And then I took Browns at Steelers. We won't harp on this one too much. The Browns let me down, just like they seem to let Cleveland down every single year. Can't fault them for that, I guess. I took University of Miami at Duke for to cover the 9-point spread, which was silly for me. I thought they'd have a bounce-back game, but we found out that University of Miami is actually the worst team in college football in the state of Florida, and that's even taking into account USF, who just fired their head coach as well.
Yeah, when you chose that game, I actually had that one written down, but I wanted to go the other way. I wanted to take Duke +9. I wasn't entirely sure Duke would win, but 9 points against Miami is way too much. Turns out Duke just won it outright, which is pretty funny considering where the state of Miami is right now, the program. But yeah, I mean, that was one game where I completely disagreed with you. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. The next one that I took and lost on was Virginia Tech at UVA. I think Virginia Tech had won 13 straight games in a row. So I took them to cover the 3 point spread, and it was an awesome game. I went back and forth the entire day, but Virginia finally pulled it out and rushed the field and won outright. So I lost on that one. And then the last one that I had for my pick five was the Army Hawaii game. Huge Hawaii fan for those of you that know me. I took Hawaii to cover the 2.5 point spread, mainly because this was the last game of the day, and Army was going to have to travel all the way to Hawaii to play it, and simply, starting a game at like 11 o'clock Eastern just doesn't seem like a key to success. So I took that one, came out ahead. So my two $3 wagers that I made, I came out ahead, which really helped me with the week. But everything else, I fell flat on.
Yeah, yeah. That Hawaii game was actually another one where I disagreed on you. I thought that Army was going to get it taken care of. Completely was wrong. So I'm glad to see you at least came away with a couple dollars on that one. Overall, we see you are what is that? Plus 11.22 on the week. Is that right? And then leading into that, I'll take over and I'll look at my picks.
Yeah. So the other thing to keep in mind too, I don't think we explained this. For these pick fives, we're going to take a pool of $10 to get these bets. So we'll assign a different wager to it based on how strongly we feel, and that's where we're coming. But each of these is going to be adding up to a total of $10.
Yeah, correct. So you're allowed to do, whatever dollar amount you want it. We can even break it into fractions like you see Graham did. He had a couple $1.50 bets, $1.50 cookie bets there. But again, it just has to equal $10. So here, you can see bets one and two, I went pretty heavy. Bet one, I went Chicago -3 Thursday, Thanksgiving Day game. I felt pretty good about that. The Bears have been struggling lately, but even visiting Detroit, I felt pretty good about that one. Turns out that I won. It was a narrow margin, but again, betting $3 on that to win 550 paid out pretty well. And then my second one that I was very very gung ho about was Iowa at Nebraska money line. I didn't know if I wanted to touch the spread. I believe it was 6 points. We can go back and look. Didn't feel very good about that, but I knew I wanted to get on the game because I knew Iowa would take care of what they needed to take care of. The My odds were -240, but like I said last week when we were doing this off air, I felt like I could kind of disguise that um, big negative number by just throwing more money to it. So I did $4 and again came away with a good chunk of change there. And then my next couple was I know these were a few where we disagreed on. Clemson, South Carolina. I took Clemson as a huge favorite, pretty much gave them a 4 touchdown head start. Um, I gave South Carolina a 4 touchdown head start. Was never really in question. I think the first quarter they were up 17-0, 14-0.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, came away big time
And you just,
with that one.
yeah, I mean, on this one, I was hesitant on taking it just because it's such a large number in South Carolina. I mean, they took down Fauna, Georgia, who's number four in the country. So I figured they'd give up more of a fight, but I at least like the Paul Feinbaum reaction that's come out of this game, if nothing else, just from an entertainment standpoint. But that was a good pick on you. Way to go out there.
Yeah. One whole cookie on that one. And then my next one was New Orleans Falcons. This was another Thanksgiving Day game. I took New Orleans -7. Um, I said when we did it off air that I didn't think the Falcons would have the same amount of success against New Orleans. Um, as they did the first go round. 7 points is a lot in the NFL, but I felt like New Orleans was going to go out, take care of the conference, and take care of their rival on primetime TV, which they did. So that was my fourth win
Yeah,
out of the five.
did you get
Go
a
ahead.
chance to watch this one live?
I did.
Yeah, I ended up taking this one myself outside of this, and mostly because I hate what the Falcons are doing right now, but was sweating it out there towards the end with two onside kick recovers.
Yeah, that one
Looks
was
like,
it was a
yep,
19-point lead. Pretty steady. I actually put a couple more cookies on the line just to my own account, and I think I had too much. Yeah, but that was not a fun
Thanksgiving
ending.
turkey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too much Thanksgiving turkey, exactly. And then last, this one I was saying when we were doing it, I had to take this game, FSU UF. I had to give FSU plus 18. Turns out that I was completely wrong. FSU had a chance to make it interesting. They were in the red zone late in the fourth quarter. Could have scored a touchdown potentially, but didn't get it done. Hats off to UF. They're a good team this year, and FSU is quite literally the opposite of a good team. So I lost there, but overall in the week to come away with $15 for what it's worth, um, I'm extremely happy with that, and that puts me again, like we said, over Graham at about $2 lead on the series on the season. So I'm happy with that. And with that, I'll hand off the $3 parlay back to you.
Yeah. So to explain this, we both missed on this, but the idea is to take a parlay between three different games and put $3 on it. So on this particular $3 parlay that you put together, your $3 would have been to win $11.88. So the idea is let's take a conglomerate of different games, put them together, and try to hit it big. I think the first week we did this without having a podcast in mind. We both had put $3 parlays together without talking to each other, and both hit and said, "Hey, this is great. This is easy." And we've missed both weeks so far. So
Since yeah,
the way that we go about deciding this, and you'll see it more in action when we go through and make our picks. The rules are of the three games, one has to be from my pick five, one has to be from Michael's pick five, and then the other game has to be one that's on neither of our pick fives. So it's got to be something that's random out there to combine to make that three. So those are the
yeah.
rules.
So the structure,
Yeah.
yeah, we decided to go with that, just to make it a little bit of a game inside the game. So obviously, of your pick five, you feel good about those. So you're allowed to take one of those and just put it straight into your parlay. But then you also gotta, kind of have your opponent talk you into one of his bets that you think works. And then the last one is, just to make it, really, really tough on us. Um, of the 10 games that didn't get bet, you have to find now a new game and go in and put that in your parlay. So there definitely is a little bit of strategy, a little bit of back and forth, trying to find out who has good bets, which one of mine are locks, which one of his I like, and then trying to find, one that maybe I won't announce on my pick five that I can hold for a parlay. And yeah, we'll see how it goes this week. See if maybe we can get one to hit.
So yeah. So with that being said, Michael let me win this week, which was very nice of him. So I'll go ahead and make the first bet. And the first game that I'm going to take is the Ravens at Bills, my Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take the Ravens to cover over 24 and a half points for 102 odds for this game. The way that I see it, we talked about it last week. The Ravens are just a phenomenal team. It's passing, running, I mean, defense themselves. Allen for the Bills has been great so far this year, but he also is prone to throw several picks, and the Ravens defense might not be great at stopping the run or stopping the pass, but they're really good at getting turnovers. And I could easily see, between them getting a couple touchdowns and maybe a defensive score, this being an easy cover for positive odds on that. So I'm going to take the Ravens and Bills
Yeah, I
over
like that one a
24
lot.
and a half.
This is a big AFC game. Both teams right now are in the playoffs, so I think it'll be from start to finish a high scoring game. Both sides are, gonna go for the throats. I like that pick a lot. For my first one, I'm also gonna stick in the NFL. I will go for the Carolina Panthers at Atlanta Falcons, and I'm gonna go a combined over 47 and a half. Um, I liked that one a lot. One, kind of where the Falcons and the Panthers were in these last couple weeks, being able to score a lot of points, but also how they did against each other just a couple weeks ago as well. The score was a little bit lopsided, I thought, because Carolina had some costly turnovers in the red zone, which you eliminate those, and obviously it's going to be a higher scoring game. But again, both offenses are really, really good. Both defenses have a chance to make a turnover. So 47 and a half seemed pretty simple to me. That's 23 points each, if they can split that. But I see one team scoring probably 30 to 35, and then the other team getting me over pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this being a high scoring game. I think Christian McCaffrey himself could account for 21 points. So it's definitely not hard to see, especially if Julio's going to come back. And then you got to look at breaking news. Riverboat Ron was fired today from the Panthers. So, I mean, you could see that team just rallying around not having a terrible coach to play for anymore, just come through and score a lot of points. So I could see it. I don't like betting against my Falcons, but I totally get it. All right. So my next pick, I'm going to go with the Oregon Utah Pac-12 championship game. I love hearing that sound effect
Yeah,
come from you when I make a pick.
yeah.
Uh, the the line right now is the over being 47. I'm going to take that. Between these two teams, I mean, Oregon and Utah both have, I think, top 20, top 25 offenses in the country. Oregon's got somewhat of a defense, so does Utah, but I don't see a way that these two teams don't break past 47 easily in a championship game that could determine if Utah is going to make the playoff. But I find a way that Oregon's going to find a way to make sure that nobody in the Pac-12 goes to the playoff because that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I think 47 in a college football game, especially in a conference championship, is pretty low. I think that's, given a lot of respect to the Utah defense. I could see 47 happening. I actually had Oregon +7 on the spread for my bet, but I like it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was a good bet. Good to take that early. And, kind of piggybacking what I just said and using that into my next bet, I will be taking the Baylor Bears Oklahoma Sooners over 63.5. So again, a lot of points. That's essentially 31 points each team, but I think that, Jalen Hurts and the Oklahoma Sooners offense at any day can score 40, 45, 50. They're not going to try to take their foot off the brakes or off the gas at any point. And I think this one is another pretty easy over that we see.
All right. Man, this next one is making it a little tougher for me as we get into this. I think I'm going to go back to the NFL, and I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers and New Orleans Saints game. The Niners are going to New Orleans to play this game, and they are a 3-point underdog, which I think is a little crazy considering they're tied for, if not leading the NFC for the number one seed in the playoffs. They just played the Ravens extremely well the other night. They've got a great team, defense, offense, everything clicks. I think the Saints have a great team as well. That Superdome gets loud, and they typically do fairly well there. But I don't know. I just feel like that's a big middle finger to San Francisco with as well as they've been playing and really being the best team in the NFC so far.
Yeah, I like it. I was, when I was doing my research before we got on, I was looking at this game and I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go, whether I wanted to touch a spread, over, under, a team total. I ended up not even putting it on my sheet just because I really couldn't figure out which way it was going to go. But I was gonna, if I had to put money on it, I was gonna go San Fran +3. I think that their defense is just the best in the NFL, and they're good enough on offense to get it done. I like it.
Sweet. All
Yeah.
right, what do you got?
So here we go. I'm actually gonna switch back to college from where you just went, and make sure I'm on the right cell here. I'm gonna go Boise State versus Hawaii. I'm taking Boise State against the spread -13.5. I know that Hawaii is a high scoring team, but I think Boise, I saw somewhere that Boise defense is best in the Mountain West, and I think that's good enough to cancel out the Hawaii offense. I think, Boise's good enough in the red zone where they can get it done. It won't be a high scoring game like I think, the over-under was suggesting, but the more I looked at it, the more I just wanted to take Boise State minus the points.
I can't believe you would go against my Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, especially after what they did to you last week. But it's all
They
right. You'll
crushed
learn.
they crushed me. Yeah,
Yeah, you'll learn. I mean,
I bet
who's
against them
Boise
last
State
year.
even played this year? I mean, they've got a win
They
over
played
Florida State.
nobody.
Like, that's
Yeah,
great.
they
Okay.
played nobody.
Anybody could beat them. All right. I mean, we'll see how it plays out.
Let me see the over
Um,
under before we move on. The over under is 64.5. Um, yeah, I don't know if I wanted to touch 64.5. I think Boise State's defense is too good, and I don't think Boise State can score 30 of their own points if they need to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. I know I'll be watching that game over some of the other games on Saturday. All right. My next one that I'm going to take, I really hate to do it, um, but you know what? Scared money don't make no money. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys at Chicago on Thursday Night Football, America's team, to cover the 2.5 point spread against the just vaunted Chicago Bears. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky is not getting enough credit for the MVP, but here comes Dallas hot off of a couple of really bad games, just looking terrible. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Garrett gets fired and left in Chicago. The only reason I'm taking Dallas in this game is because Chicago is a 500 team, and the Cowboys have only beaten teams that are 500 or below. So, I mean, they have to win this game.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that stat. When I was looking at it as well, I thought that exact same thing. Obviously, the Buffalo game on prime time in Jerry World, on their Thanksgiving game is a huge upset for Dallas, and I fully expect them to bounce back as well. 2.5 points isn't enough, even for a potent Chicago defense like they have. I like the pick a lot.
All right.
I'm going to jump back into the NFL. I'm going to go for another homer team of mine, Washington Redskins at Green Bay Packers. I'm taking Green Bay minus 13 points. Not an ideal line. I'd like for that to be under, 13, maybe get it 12 and a half, but I'll lay the two full scores. Like I said last week, Washington Redskins offense has just been horrible. They don't score the ball. Um, give Green Bay the pass rush that they have, and I think that they're going to have a couple turnovers. And again, playing at Green Bay will give them enough push through to get this done. Felt good about it, and also my odds were plus 100, so they were even. So I feel like this is a good value bet, also a good hometown cheering bet.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to make that loss even worse is when you have money that's tied to it, and then you're really upset. So if the Redskins beat the Packers, I mean, because the Redskins just beat the Panthers and got Ron Rivera fired, does that mean
They
if
did.
the Redskins beat the Packers that Aaron Rodgers has to retire? Is that? I think those are the
Um,
rules.
I can't say you're wrong. If we go by the trends, then yeah, it's certainly leading that way.
Hmm. All right. Well, let's see here. So this is gonna be my last one. I've gone back and forth on how I want to bet this game, and I think I'm just gonna bite the bullet and do it. Let's talk some SEC
Oh,
football, huh?
I did not want to touch this.
Let's talk some SEC football. So the last couple of weeks that we've done this show without actually doing a broadcast, I think every week I've talked about how awful Georgia's offense is. Um, I still think that's the same. But looking at this game, I mean, LSU's the best team in the country, if not tied for the best with Ohio State. I think those two teams are just head and shoulders above everybody else, at least from an offensive standpoint. Georgia's got a great defense, no doubt about it. It's dominant. I think they've given up one rushing touchdown all year. It's crazy. But LSU is just going to score on you every single way, whether it's passing, rushing, RPO. I mean, they just they score points, and I don't think Georgia's going to find a way to score more than 21 points. And I think LSU is just going to run away with it. I think they
Yeah,
want it more.
yeah. I mean, I like that pick as well. I think LSU's going to be a clear favorite. I thought 7 points was pretty interesting.
It's a lot.
I thought it'd be a little bit closer than that, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Um, but I wonder if they're factoring in the game being played in Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta and Georgia having, that pretty clear-cut home field advantage, whether that's going to play
yeah.
into it at all.
Like the
Um,
home field advantage they had in the national championship. Yeah.
yeah, I
You
mean,
also forget that this is a
can't
Georgia
discount
team
it.
playing in Georgia.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You wanted to go on a rant about that. No, I'll stop you right there. For my last one, sticking in the NFL, going with a little bit of a fun pick in my mind. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh Steelers, Arizona Cardinals over 43 and a half. This was more of a talking point towards the Arizona Cardinals offense. than the Steelers defense. 43.5 is one of the lowest totals that you'll see in the NFL. I felt pretty good about it. I feel like when in doubt, you always go with the young, unproven coach versus a hot defense at the moment. Um, I think Arizona Cardinals, even though they're eliminated from the playoff and the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing for something, it's going to be more points than defensive plays, and we'll see that on display.
Okay. I think you should have taken a underdog, but I guess now that you've got the lead, you just want to, maintain that lead and don't really want to try to mix it up. I get it. It's fine. All right. Well, those are our pick 5 picks. You can see them both here. So now what we'll end up doing is assigning wagers to these. So Michael, since I picked first, why don't you go ahead and assign your values of cookies to these games?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm going to go kind of with the same idea that I had the past couple weeks. With my last pick, not feeling great about that, I'm just going to do $1. A single cookie, probably, vanilla or just a sugar cookie, nothing special about it.
Right.
Same thing with my Green Bay, not feeling all too great about that. But
Yeah.
then that does leave me $8 between these top three, and those were the three that I felt really, really good about. So I'll do on my first one, Panthers at Falcons, I will do 350, and I will do 350 here as well. And then Boise, Hawaii, you kind of talked me a little bit off the ledge, and I'll just round it off to an even dollar. But I'm going to go pretty top heavy on those top two, um, and kind of see if I can ride that wave a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. Maybe you forgot that the Atlanta Falcons defense held the Panthers to, I think, under 10 points when they played. So I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
that
We'll
was,
see.
yeah, well, like I said, it was a lot of turnovers in the red zone. I think they were in the red zone twice and had either a fumble or an interception. I think it was both interceptions, actually. I don't think that's going to happen again. That's kind of what I'm betting on is just turning those turnovers into points, whether it be field goals or touchdowns.
Sure. So I'm going to start by saying Georgia LSU and this San Francisco Saints game. Put $1 on each. Just, I mean, Saints. I don't know. They always have this it factor. Maybe it's just Sean Payton cheating that just puts them over the edge in games that you wouldn't expect them to. So I'll keep those at $1. I'll put the Dallas at Chicago game at 2. So it means I've got $6 left to play with. I'm going to take the Ravens at Bills at $5. And so what does that leave me? $1 left?
I'm doing my odds. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Simple math. Um, yep. So I'll put $1 on Utah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change this down to 4 and make this 2. That way it's not all in one bucket. So there we go. We will update the odds as we're going through this. But now it is time to shift over to the $3 parlay. And again, just to remind everybody, the way that this is going to work is when you build your 3 games, this is going to be one game from your own pick 5, one from the other person's pick 5, and then one game that's not even on either of the 2 slates. We'll put them on here, and those will be our bets. So let's take a second, and we'll start building these off, and then we'll go from there.
So I've actually got my games ready, I believe. So I'll go first.
Perfect. Let's do that.
On my own game, I'm going to take the very first one that I chose. Again, don't really need to speak too much on it. Felt good about it, and I'm just going to stick with my guns. The game from yours that I really liked was, I think I'm going to go with this Ravens Bills. I like what you said about it. I thought that it was, really, really easy choice to say 24.5 for the Ravens over 4 quarters. Again, it being an AFC meaningful game. I see Lamar Jackson continuing his magic. And then my last one here is going to be a final NFL. I'm going to go a little bit different than what we've been doing. I'm just going to go with a money line, and it's going to be the Chargers money line. Um, trying to just kind of make the parlay a little bit easier. I know the payout won't be as much, but again, I've got $2 lead. So let's see if I can finally get one to go. They're playing in Jacksonville, but I think that, with the turnover that Jacksonville's had, and just how good the Chargers defense has been, this hopefully will work out for me. And let's see what this parlay is. I'll let Graham you go, and then I'll build this bet, and we can get back to it.
Sure. Yeah. The other thing too, I guess I didn't realize that this was going to happen until I saw it all over Twitter today. Derwin James is coming back for the Chargers,
Yep.
so he'll be back there at safety. Um, the Jaguars haven't been able to figure out their quarterback at all. I mean, they're going to go back to Minshew again this week after benching Foles. So who knows? I mean, they might just find somebody in the stands and say, "Hey, why don't you come play football?" Though I think a lot of people would say that's what Minshew is. Your game that I'm going to take is the Baylor Oklahoma game. Excuse me. I mean, you're right. It's the Big 12. There's no defense. I mean, for both of
Yep.
these teams to score, over 32 points, I think it's going to be completely easy and just super easy money right there. My game that I'm going to take on this one, I hate to copy you, but I felt strongly about it, so I'm going to take the Ravens at Bills game for the Ravens to cover the over 25 or 24 and a half.
Yep.
And then my third wild card, I guess we'll call it, that I'm going to take here is going to be the let's see here. They're a boring team, and I really don't know if they have any fans. They might have like 5 or 10, but the way that Ryan Tannehill has been taking the Titans, I'm going to take the Titans to cover against the Raiders and win by more than 2.5 points. They're a boring team. They're not super great in any way. They play sound football, and they're on a hot streak right now. And the Raiders have not looked good the last couple of weeks, and I think the Titans are going to take it.
I like it. Yep. So let's see. I've got two of yours already in here. Let me just get the Ravens team total put in over 24 and a half. So if we do a $3 bet, and this is all going to be on Bovada, our cookie exchange rate is going to be to win 1936
For yours or for mine?
for yours. So you've actually
That
got a pretty hefty win right there. Mine was 1540. Taking the money line team, my odds went down a decent amount. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, let's look at the boards here. I think you also had a higher to win um, on your weeklies. I had over my pick five was to win $18.79. And yours is probably going to be pretty close to it. I don't think it updated as of yet.
Yeah, I'm going through and doing that right now. Let's see here. If you want to fill some dead time, maybe we still got to figure out all the kinks and everything. But
Yeah, so again, we're going to do this either every Tuesday or Wednesday while the Lions are still young. Try to get in early on them before they change too much. Obviously, they're going to change over the week, so whatever the lines look like at kickoff are going to be a little bit different than the one we have, but that makes the strategy for us a little bit more fun to try to get ahead of it and jump on the lines before they can move too much. That's what really ultimately got me a win on my Bears pick was I got in on it at -3 and I think they won by 4 or 5. So I needed that to happen to win my game. So let's
yeah,
see
they
here.
they they, they did not look good on Thursday. I figured they would roll over a Lions team that was starting a third string quarterback, and the Lions came out quickly with I think 14 points pretty quick. So
Yeah.
yeah, so mine will end up being 1926 when I hit all of these and win all of these to go along with my $3 parlay that I'm going to hit for 1936. So I think all that being said, I'll hit a pretty commanding lead when it comes there, and um,
Yeah,
I do want to go ahead.
I think by this time next week, um, I'll probably have a gold-plated toilet installed with my winnings because it's this easy.
No, I'd like to let you think that, but that's not the case. So that's the show. We had put in our pre-show notes, so we wanted this to be about 35 minutes, and we literally just hit 35 minutes. So good on us. First try. We do that.
Did
Next
you
week
bet
we
the
can
over or the
guarantee.
under on that?
I didn't, but we should actually
Oh,
do that
there you go.
As a way to interact with the fans that we have. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out our sponsors. Make sure you hit the like button up here or whatever else you do. Whatever.
And
Follow
also
us on
follow us on
Twitter.
Twitter, yep, at $3 Parlay. We're gonna go through and just kind of look at the lines that we have as they update throughout the week, and then kind of send out tweets how the bets are looking Saturdays and Sundays for the games, and kind of give you a little quick glimpse before we broadcast again this time next week.
Sure thing. So next time we'll do it, we'll actually be live, so you can watch it on YouTube and be able to comment back with us and interact with us. That'll be great. But yeah, so thanks everybody for watching if you've made it this far. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And good luck with your $3 parlay this week.
Bye, everybody.